Dr. Pepper and Friends, where grit, grace, and wholehearted living come together. And now, here's Dr. Pepper.
Hey there, welcome to Dr. Pepper and Friends, and this is a place where grit and grace come together for wholehearted living, and so glad that you joined us. And today we're going to do something a little different. I'm not going to be in the middle of hosting today. I'm very grateful to have my colleagues Will Chenault and Debbie Bellinghausen, who are going to carry this particular show. If you've been tracking with us, the thing that you know, we've been doing kind of a series on parenting, and we'll do more of that. But today and next week, we're going to focus and zoom in on a topic that's kind of, it shouldn't be controversial. But in this day and age, anytime you begin to talk about gender, it seems controversial to actually point out that boys and girls are different. And the way that they're wired on the inside is different. The way that they deal with emotion and the kinds of emotion that they deal with is different. The way that they experience relationships is different. The way that they engage culture is different. And I think right now, of all times, I think parents need some encouragement, especially Christian parents, need some encouragement in terms of the way that we deal with boys and girls differently. Now, I don't have daughters. As a matter of fact, I have two boys, and both of my boys have boys. Our dogs have all been boys. I think even our cars are boys. I'm not sure how that's worked out that way. And if we ever have that little granddaughter, that grandbaby that's a girl, it will be the end of me. I can't wait if that happens. If we have more boys, I will be delighted in that as well. But I don't have any experience with girls. As a matter of fact, there goes one of my boy dogs there. But as a matter of fact, I probably learned, outside of being married, of course, I probably learned the most about girls, coaching girls soccer, high school girls soccer for about 5 years, and have some wonderful, wonderful adopted daughters that were my soccer players for all those years. But I learned some good things, and I'll share more about that a little bit later on. But that was just my only experience with raising girls. So Will and Debbie both have girls, and they'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But I am so grateful that they are willing to participate and kind of share a little bit from a therapy perspective, a counseling perspective, what it's like to be a parent of girls, and then from their own personal experience to share that as well. So I know this is going to be a treat, and I know you will welcome them. But thank you again for tuning in to Dr. Pepper and Friends. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel so we'll know that you're out there. All right. So thank you very much.
Well, hello. Welcome to Dr. Pepper and Friends. Dr. Pepper is not here, but
that makes us the friends.
That's right. We're the friends. We're the friends. My name is Will, and this is my colleague Debbie. And today we're going to be talking about raising daughters. And so this is kind of a topic that we were assigned, Debbie. One, because I have 3 daughters. You have 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. I'm a dad and you're a mom, and so in some way, maybe between the two of us, we could come up with some sort of wisdom and understanding of raising daughters. So Debbie, when you think about your experience raising your 2 daughters, just first of all, tell us the age of your daughters.
Yeah. So I have a 24-year-old, almost 25-year-old, and I have a 21-year-old.
Okay, all right. I have a 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 15-year-old.
Bless you.
Yes. So hands are full.
Yes.
And so our audience can pray for me and pray for us. Mm-hmm. So Debbie, when you think about raising daughters, just very practically, how are girls wired differently than boys?
Well, being that I did not raise boys, I don't know that I can compare well, but just based on, since I was assigned this,
yes.
I started talking to lots of my friends who did have boys, who raised both, and I was just asking them, what is the difference? And across the board, every one of them who have both boys and girls said girls are harder. I'm like, why are girls harder? They're like, they're just wired differently. They have more needs. They require more from daddy. And so from a mama perspective, that means it's out of our control, right? We've got to give that control over. But we have the unsurmounting task of being as a mom, being the model for those girls.
Right.
And man, I don't know about them out there, but I confess, I'm messed up. And so my modeling may not always be where it should be, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I think just when we think about just the wiring, girls are just naturally wired for more emotional engagement, emotional attunement. They're probably going to feel pain most through relationships. Whereas I think boys experience that, but also, boys feel it probably in that kind of core question, do I have what it takes? Am I strong enough? Am I athletic enough? But I think just in that relational realm, probably the wiring of girls that feel that sense of social engagement, the emotional attunement, girls are probably quicker in verbal processing, more verbal, tend to become more verbal early on. We also know that little girls learn to read faces far more quickly than little boys.
Their emotional intelligence comes quicker.
Yes, comes quicker. And so we know that those are some of the realities of just the divine wiring of our daughters. Wouldn't you say also there's the sense of there's this unique pressure of perfectionism and comparison?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was sharing with you the story of my oldest, who we were shopping one day, and she was between the age of 4 or 5. And I remember she saw this orange top and skirt. It was cute, but it wasn't a color that you would have typically thought a little girl would have been drawn to, but she was drawn to this. And I was shopping with my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law's like, you don't want that, Amber. That's an obnoxious color. And my 4 or 5-year-old daughter, she put her foot down. She wanted it. Yeah. And so I said, we're getting it, right? And so we take it home. She modeled it for her daddy, and he oohed and awed over her. And for the next 2 years, she wore that outfit as every time it was clean, maybe even sometimes when it wasn't. It became her. At 4 or 5, she knew who she was, and she knew what she liked and what she was comfortable in. Right. Even if it was something that someone important to her had said, that's not the best, or the world would have told her, that's not acceptable. She knew what she wanted at that age. And yet, as she grew older, she began to compare herself.
Right.
And if that outfit was in a store now, she probably wouldn't choose it just because it's not what the masses would have chosen.
Yeah. And I think just the reality of knowing the impact of life in a broken, fallen world. I think our daughters are going to experience that sense of competition and comparison, and I think as parents, particularly as dad, just being able to enter into those spaces and places with our daughters to seek healing and restoration and validation that is something that's real, that's there.
Yeah. I also think something that falls under this that's extremely important is protecting our girls from social media.
Yeah.
I remember one of the biggest struggles with our girls was we chose to not give them phones until one of two things happened. Either they were old enough to stay home alone and landlines were going out and we wanted them to be able to have a connect with us if we were leaving, or when they began to drive. So my kids did not get cell phones till much later than their peers. And I can remember this being a point of contingency between me and the girls and their dad and them. But we held firm to it. And I'm so thankful that we did. I don't think we did everything right, but this is one thing I think we got right. Just because when we hand them these devices and they begin to see from all aspects of life, Look how perfect this one looks. Look how beautiful that one looks. Look how that one seems to have everything. Look how this one seems to have it all together. Right. And they do that from an early age. Mm-hmm. We can get 4 and 5-year-olds, like I was discussing a minute ago with my oldest, who already are struggling.
Right. Yeah.
And that just gets worse as they grow into adolescence and young adults.
Yeah.
And so while we can't protect them from everything and shouldn't protect them from everything, right? Because without struggle, there's no growth.
Right, right.
I do believe at my core that we have got to protect them from allowing the world to tell them who they are, what they should look like, how they should feel, how they should think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to know that you know, in many respects, they're in the war zone of hearing and receiving those messages of this is the way you should look and this is the way you should present yourself. And social media does an incredibly harmful job of doing that.
Yes.
Yeah. What else, when you think about the uniqueness, if we're helping people watching this podcast here, just from our experience of raising daughters and still in the process of raising daughters. Yeah. You know, we've talked about just the reality of they're wired different. It's a good thing. God made them that way, but also just the maybe landmines that our daughters experience socially, culturally, just that huge expectation on body image and beauty and what is praiseworthy, and we have to just help fight that battle. Yeah. And help speak into what the real truth is. Yeah. Right?
And again, I think it goes back to modeling.
Yeah.
And for us to be a good model, we have to be in a good place.
Right.
Right? And so if we're insecure about the way we look, we're going to pass that on to our girls. They're going to see us get on the scale every morning and check that.
Right.
They're going to watch us change clothes 15 times because this just don't look right. This makes me look fat. This makes me look too tall or too short. They're going to pick up on that.
Right.
And they're going to begin to behave in those ways.
Right.
And so making sure that we as moms are at our optimal mental, emotional, and spiritual health so that we can be those good models for them.
Right.
Show them what it is to have, not only to take care of this body and this mind and heart that God has given us, to steward, right? We are to steward this. Yeah. But also to teach them how to enter into society and relate to other people in ways that we can practice good boundaries. Right. And you know, that's kind of a hot topic word right now, and you hear boundaries and you think, ooh, that's a bad thing, that's being rude. We have got to teach our girls from very early, I think, that there's nothing wrong with boundaries when they're set in place properly. And the way we do that is by modeling that for them, exemplifying that for them, whether it's in how we dress, how we talk to others, how we relate to our girlfriends and our people in our lives. It boils down to we have to have this in good working condition.
Absolutely. Mom and dad need to be emotionally healthy and relationally healthy and spiritually healthy and see themselves the way God sees them. And so when that is secure, that's going to bring security into the home and into relationships with our daughters. And absolutely. Also think about the role that a strong father plays in the lives of a daughter or daughters. I think sometimes dads, when girls start getting older, that's when dads start maybe disconnecting because they don't know how to deal with a daughter that is growing into womanhood, rather than actually being more present during that time and being more open to speak blessing over our daughters and to help them sort through the emotional realities of what they're experiencing, to provide a security in that of I see you, I know you. There's a secure attachment that takes place through that. And I think about, a friend was telling me this story years ago that he was at a swimming pool and watched this young, probably 7th, 8th grade girl, really flirting with these boys and almost inappropriately allowing the boys to touch her, and it just was very uncomfortable. And his little daughter said to him, "That girl must not have a daddy that loves her." And you think
she recognized.
Yeah. So it does just the security of, a loving father who still continues to pursue the heart of his daughters, and
through
is
the
present.
uncomfortableness,
Yeah,
right?
through the uncomfortableness. Yeah, and continuing to to not back away from that, or not just say, well, that's just kind of mom, you and mom, have to deal with that. I think with the kids need both mom and dad, especially our daughters, during this time, and dad, to model, this is what a man, how a man loves his wife, and this is how a man honors his wife, and this is how a man speaks to his wife, and this is how a man honors and engages, and so those are all important modeling things within the home.
Yeah. Something my husband did really well with our 2 girls was from a very early age, probably 4 or 5 on through their teen years, was once a week we rotated, and he would take one on a date and one would stay home with me, and we'd do something special.
Yeah.
And so he would bring them home a little box of chocolate or flowers, and he would open the doors for them.
Right.
He had done these things in the relationship with me,
Right.
but now he's applying it to them.
Right. Yes.
So that hopefully when they get into the world, they realize that this isn't for show, that the boy would do these things for you, but this shows you his heart.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When a man is able to value you,
Right. Yeah.
and see the worth in you,
Right.
it comes through in these little gestures.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Daddy made it feel normal for these things to happen, so that hopefully when we get to that age, if it's not occurring, it doesn't feel normal, and they question, okay, why is this not happening? Right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So being a mom is a hard job,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Right.
I would never, ever, ever want to be the dad, though. Daddy of little girls seems to me like y'all just have so much pressure on you to, they get their picture of who God is through their earthly father, right?
Yeah.
And so, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think that requires us to live in a posture of dependency, and it requires us to say, Lord, I need you, and I'm desperate for you, and I need you to live your life through me in this, and when you blow it, to come back and own it and take responsibility.
'Cause we will blow
and say, hey, I didn't handle that well. Will you forgive me? And so I think just creating good, healthy, mature skills within a home is important. So let's talk a little bit as we're kind of landing the plane. Dr. Pepper says to keep these at 15 minutes, or else he docks our pay.
Fire us or
He doesn't pay us the big bucks for this. he withholds our paycheck. So when we think about we've talked about some of the pressures that our daughters experience, both socially, just in their body image, and the pressure that society puts upon them. So if we were to think about just some encouragement, how would you encourage parents of daughters?
Yeah. So I can't encourage on the father's behalf, but from the mother's perspective, I mentioned that we want to always protect them. We don't want them to struggle. We don't want them to feel insecure. We don't want them to feel like they don't belong. And yet, without those struggles, there's no growth. Right. And so it makes me think about Romans 5:3-5, where it talks about that we glorify in sufferings. We read that and we go, what? Glorify in sufferings? We have to watch our daughters struggle. We need to be there for them in that. But without the struggle, there is no growth. This verse goes on to say that suffering produces perseverance. You want a resilient, strong daughter, you have to let her struggle. You have to let her work out her battle. You have to teach her to think for herself. And that doesn't come in always giving her the answer to the problem, but asking her, how do you think you ought to solve the problem? right?
Right.
So struggles, suffering leads to perseverance. Perseverance, once developed, leads to character.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many of us don't want our daughters to have true,
Right.
genuine, biblical character as they move into the world, right?
Right.
We got to keep that goal in mind, I think, as we're training them up. And I don't think that I always did the best job of that. If I could, people always say, if you go back and do it again,
Right.
I'd keep the end goal in mind. What is it I want their character to look like? And shape them in that
Right.
direction. But character leads to hope.
Yeah.
So they understand when suffering comes, there is an end to this. And this isn't the hope of the world. This is the hope in Christ.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But that verse goes on to say, and this is so cool, that hope does not put us to shame.
Right.
When our hope is in Christ, when our identity is rooted in Christ, when our worth is based on what Christ says our worth is,
Right.
it doesn't put us to shame.
Right.
That insecurity and that shamefulness that we feel in the world doesn't exist because we are so deeply rooted in who God says we are.
Right.
Something I pray for my girls every day is that that God would let them see themselves how He sees them,
Right.
that He would show Himself to them through truth, and that they would view the world and the people in their worlds through His perspective.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I think just to add to that, kind of maybe expound on some of those points for me, if I could bring some encouragement, parents, just to know you still have influence in your kid's life. They want you to engage. It may not seem as though that they do, but I guarantee you they feel loved by your loving boundaries. They feel loved by saying you can and can't do this. I think the best homes are, yes, we love you more than you can ever imagine, and we want you to know that, and we want you to delight in that. And no, you can't always get your way.
Yes.
I think so often we have homes that say, yes, we love you more than you will ever know, and yes, you can always get your way. Those are destructively permissive homes.
Yes.
Or the opposite of that is, no, we don't love you, and no, you can't get your way. Those are the authoritative, no, just the rules. And we're not asking for that. We're asking for this sense of, I love you enough to lovingly set these boundaries in place for good, for protection. God does that with us, and I think that's important as our kids get older. Also, particularly for girls, I would say this, that every woman is walking around asking this question, am I beautiful? And the world will answer that, and Jesus will answer that.
And whose voice is going
And
to be
whose
the
voice is
louder?
going to be the loudest. And my hope is that more and more of our daughters can say, no, Jesus is the one who answers that question for me.
And I believe, Will, that to determine which one of those voices becomes the loudest is based on the voices that they have heard from
Right.
within their home,
Yes.
within their relationship with their dad and their mom.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. So, this is not for parents, this is not like put the pressure more. This is just a reality that as we do trust the Lord in this, and as we do live with a posture of dependency, the Lord does a good work in and through this. And I have loved raising daughters and continue to raise daughters. I've never felt a loss for that. People often say, well, you didn't get your boy. Well, you know what? We've had a lot of fun, and it's been a great joy. And it's always a joy with continued phases as well as they get older. And I know you've had that experience as well.
Yes, I wouldn't trade anything for my girls or the raising of them, no matter how hard it got.
Right.
And I am learning, now that they're adults, that we one day do get the sons.
Right.
Right?
Yes. I'm thinking of that too. Lord willing.
Yeah,
there
one
may
day we
be
do
time
get
I
the
will get some
sons.
sons. Absolutely. Think about that. Well, great conversation. We've kept this at our time, so Dr. Pepper's going to reward us.
We hope.
We hope. Thank you for watching this. And if you would like to further this conversation, you can go to theprattclinic.com. And maybe you're at a place that you need to have further conversations, and you may need to schedule a time with one of our therapists here just to maybe process through and get some tools and get some things to help your growth in this. We'd love to be a resource for you and for our community in helping raise great kids. Debbie, thanks so much.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much, Will and Debbie, and thank you for your candor, for your humor, for your expertise, and for just sharing some of your life with us. So next time on Dr. Pepper and Friends, you're going to have kind of the other side of the coin here. We're going to talk about raising boys and what that is like and how that's different from what you heard today. So Christy Polk will be joining us, and I'm looking forward to having that time with her. She's also a therapist here at the Pratt Clinic, as well as serving some other places. So I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. So thanks a lot, and check out the show notes for some links to some other things, and we'll see you again next time where grit and grace come together for wholehearted living. Thanks.